excited? I'm like, welcome to the jungle, it's a riot.
Yeah, who that? You know what it is. Stepping all way, snap you like a twig. Yeah, who that? Just me never frontin'. When I put it out the bag, now that's bluntin'. Rep my city when you see me like LeBron, I'm king. Black and orange, black and orange, black and orange, black and orange. I keep it gritty from Louisville to Cleveland. Black and orange, black and orange, black and orange, black and orange.
Hey, you can hear The Rock. This is a poor excuse for the locker room for The Rock. Rock's got millions to entertain. This place. And no wonder Jim Thome left. Tell LeBron James to stay in school. Don't get drafted by Cleveland. No. Rock needs to sing a song, soothe his soul. The Rock says Cleveland is totally lame. How did this dump get the Hall of Fame? The Rock has to say, all shucks, 'cause Cleveland doesn't rock, no, it totally sucks. I said now Cleveland sucks. Oh. What's up, man? About time you got here. The Rock has one question. Are you ready to go one-on-one with the Great One?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on that beautiful performance several years ago on Monday Night Raw in Cleveland. I want to start by saying that this video is not intended towards every fan in Cleveland of any of your sporting teams, especially the Browns. 216, since you like, sucking other fans' dicks so much, and you claim that I do it, you kind of nut ride on my buddy, the A-Train that I went to school with, fellow Bengals fan. I'll go ahead and throw out there that I don't respect you, but if I was going to respect any Browns fans on YouTube, it'd probably be Your All Witness 23 and Rick Dog, especially Rick Dog. Because after all, not all Browns fans are assholes. I thought you might like that. That's what you look like every Sunday, by the way, from what I've heard. You go down to the dog pound and dress up like that. But anyway, let's move on. Let's start with your bet proposal. Eating dog biscuits is something that you do on a daily basis, especially every Sunday during the fall. So don't think that you're going to come out here and force me to stoop to your level and punish me by eating something that, you're forced to eat because you're fucking poor and that's all you can afford. Also putting a paper bag on my head. Dude, my team's never embarrassed me enough to wear that shit, and they never will. The bet's already been done by a couple of my friends, so think of something original instead of copying like you tend to do, and get back at me. If you throw something legit towards me, sure, let's go. I ain't into this this t-shirt and hat bullshit, like some of you guys are, because let's face it, the economy isn't that great. We'll get back into that in a minute because there are some Cleveland connections to the economy. But yeah, I can't afford, the hat, shirt, all that bullshit. Think of something original and get back at me, dude. Alright, let's move on to some of the bullshit that you've been spewing the last couple weeks. Anyway, if Art Modell doesn't fire Paul Brown, we wouldn't exist, ever, as you tend to say. We had a team from, I want to say 1937 to 41, or somewhere around that timeline. They were called the Bengals. I believe they were the old NFL, or not the NFL, the AFL, the old AFL, before they had 2 or 3 different branches or stints or whatever. Anyway, moving on for that. They were called the Bengals, and Paul Brown came down here. He wanted to keep that aspect of our city's history and the fact that the Cincinnati Zoo was at the time home to a rare Bengal tiger. You know, he wanted to, you know, keep that here, so he named us the Bengals. Speaking of Art Modell, all he wanted from you broke fucks was, I think, $175 million in tax dollars to refurbish Cleveland Stadium back in the mid to late 90s. You know, but you guys waited until after he planned to move to Baltimore to say yes. And that's just the way you guys think up there. Meanwhile, in Cincinnati, Mike Brown was threatening to also move, you know, to Baltimore, as I've told you guys several times before. Hamilton County was late paying $167 in concession receipts. Woo, big fucking deal, $167,000 in concession receipts. I don't even know. I mean, is that what we? I need to find out if concessions means, you know, beer and, you know, drinks, food, and all that. I don't know. Anyway, that's what he wanted, and he also ruled that Riverfront Stadium was no longer fit for the team. But as you should already know, voters passed a sales tax increase. I believe I've said that in my previous videos. You know, to keep the team in town, and they built, you know, Paul Brown Stadium for Mike. Which, by the way, it did cost $67 million more to build than your shithole. But, you know, we can afford it. And, you know, we care enough to not let our team leave. Unlike you guys. You know, people like leaving you guys up there, if you haven't noticed. But anyway. And something else I've been wanting to know for a while. What the fuck kind of fan base dresses up as dogs and barks and throws shit, including beer bottles and biscuits, at other fans, players, and one thing that I saw and read about, Bottlegate, you guys threw shit at the officials. I mean, pelting them in the head and shit. I mean, that's just fucking dangerous. And apparently you've been doing it for a long time, because I remember hearing there was a bad call or some shit at one time in Cincinnati, and fans were throwing shit. And Sam Weiss, who was the head coach at the time, you know, they got him a microphone, and, you know, he said something along the lines of, you know, if you see anybody else throwing shit out of here, point them out to security and, you know, throw them out. You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. So what's that tell you? Anyway, you know, you said that we've never won a Super Bowl, but you've never played in one. Really? You've never played in one, we've never won one. I mean, obviously you haven't won one either, but, you know, at least we've been there, dude. You know, the reason that you've never, you know, at least been one, you've had 3 chances, we've had 2. Which you think, you know, at least 1 out of 3 instead of, you know, 2 of 2 for us, you guys would have made it. But anyway, the first time, the reason you couldn't, you know, make it, well, actually, all 3 times, but, you know, you couldn't stop a future 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback in Elway. You know, you've heard me talk about him before. You know, the first time they drove 98 yards, and then I think they beat you guys in overtime by a field goal. The next year, you guys fumbled. And then a couple years later, you just got straight up beat down in Cleveland. Now, the 2 teams that we beat in 81 and 88, being the Chargers in 81 and the Bills in 88, both of them were fucking crying about us. You know, you guys just couldn't win. But these teams were crying. First, they were crying because of the weather. It was too cold. One of the coldest, if not, I think it might have been colder than the ice. I think it was the Ice Bowl or whatever. It was like 50-something below with the wind chill that day. Anyway, San Diego was crying about that. Beat them down. And then in, you know, 88, 89, we played the Bills. And their coach was crying about, that was the first year we ran the, well, what's now known as the no-huddle offense. That was the first year that we established it. You know, they were crying about it so bad that, you know, the league came in and said that we couldn't use it for the AFC Championship game. And we still pretty much beat them down. You know, and then Marv Levy and them turned around and, you know, they made their own version of the no-huddle, you know, in the next several years. And, you know, in the early 90s, behind one of the best, you know, offenses of the decade, you know, they went to 4 straight Super Bowls and they lost. But regardless, anyway, we've been to 2 Super Bowls. You guys ain't been, period. And you lost to the, you know, same team all 3 times. You know, we lost both Super Bowls to the same team, San Francisco. The team of the decade in the 80s. So what's that tell you? I mean, that's just like, you know, trying to blame, who the hell? St. Louis and Carolina and Philly for not beating the Patriots. Take it. I mean, the Giants did, and nobody played them twice. But still, team of the decade. Every decade, you got a team of the decade. In the '90s, it was the Cowboys. The '80s, 49ers. '70s, it was the Steelers. '60s, I guess the Packers. Yeah, because I mean, I guess you consider they won the first 2 Super Bowls or whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Speaking of losing to the 49ers, let's talk about Bill Walsh for a second. After all, you do know that both of our teams this year are going to the West Coast offense. Where did the West Coast offense start? No. It definitely wasn't Cleveland. Everybody want to try again? Where did the West Coast offense start? That little college down south or wherever Jerry Rice is from? No, but I mean you're getting a little bit closer. San Francisco? No, it did not start in San Francisco. It was made popular by San Francisco. It didn't. I'll give you one more try. Let's hear it. No, the West Coast offense started in Cincinnati. Look it up. Bill Walsh was an assistant under Paul Brown. And the shit started here. The first quarterback to run it was Virgil Carter, and then Ken Anderson. They both ran it before Joe Montana. Joe Montana and Walsh out in San Francisco just happened to perfect it. Your president Mike Holmgren got it from Walsh, so I guess there's kind of a connection there with you guys running it, and I think Pat Shurmur was he Green Bay's coordinator in the '90s under Holmgren when they went to the Super Bowl? I think so. Okay, so you guys got a connection to the West Coast. I'd like to know who announced was going to run it first this year, though. I don't know if you guys hired Shurmur first or if we hired Jay Gruden. Oh, okay. You've never heard of Jay Gruden just because he was in the Arena Leagues and the UFL? That's it's John's little brother. You guys remember John Gruden and that pretty good offense he had. I mean, he had a good defense that was built under Tony Dungy in Tampa Bay. Yeah, Jay was an assistant for at least a few years, and I think that Super Bowl year. So yeah, we got a connection to that West Coast too. Oh wait, I left a little loophole out. I'm pretty sure that Gruden was either a coordinator or an assistant under Holmgren too, at some point in the '90s, I think. Oh yeah. So we're both running the West Coast this year. Both teams are new to it. I mean, I guess technically, because Bengals have ran it before. I don't know if the Browns have ran it before, but we're both new to it because the players we got and all that are learning the new system. Anyway, let's move on. You say that Cleveland. When people think of Ohio, they immediately think of Cleveland. Why would that be? I bet if I asked a lot of people outside of Ohio, maybe even inside, when somebody says Ohio, what do you think of? The Buckeyes, Ohio State, maybe one of our baseball teams. I guess you could say both. We know who the dominant one is, by the way. If they think of Cleveland, it's because you guys are such a fucking shithole and you're dragging the entire state down with you. Thank God for the Buckeyes. They're keeping us afloat. I know they've had their problems here and there, but thank God for them. Columbus needed something. Columbus ain't the best city, but it's definitely better than Cleveland.